Hi, welcome back. We are on to our next signature. We are building this album featuring Stamperia's Romance Forever collection. And we are on to the next signature, which is for page 2. We've already completed the inside panel and we've already completed page 1, so now we're going to work on page 2. And this is somewhat what I have figured out to put together, so it's going to look a little bit like this. I want you to get out the papers that has this butterfly on it. Let me hold that still. And this is its connecting piece. So you're looking for a 12 by 12 sheet that looks just like this. On the reverse side, it's wood. And I'll give you the measurements for these here in just a second. But what I want you to do is take some time, be very careful. I want you to fussy cut out this butterfly. And then we're going to pop it up somehow on some kind of medium that you have, whether it be chipboard or pop-ups. When we lay this on our front panel, this is going to have a little bit of a built-up appearance for you, so that it's not just flat paper. And then I want you to find the 12 by 12 sheet that has these beautiful roses. I just love this piece, and I really like the back piece as well. Extremely delicate rose vines throughout this paper. But you're going to find this one, and then we're going to be cutting that for your back of those side panels. And then you have another sheet of this in there. I want you to get it out, and then you're going to cut that, but we're going to use the softer side. This is going to cut, this being your base piece, is going to cut to 10.5 inches. And I'm going to bring the album back in here because I want to show you something. Here is your gusset. Even though this is for this page, it's easier to show it to you here. If you will notice that 10.5 inches takes you right up to the edge of your page, and then you've got about a 1/4 to a 3/8 inch space in here. I purposely leave that because we're going to build this up and we need some room for that gusset to fold into. I don't want it folding into this large gusset because when these two pages close, we want the build-ups on both pages to come together comfortably. And I can show it to you on this one. So you can see how we've got that 5/8 inch gusset there, and then the buildup of those two pages. These have come together and they're not fighting each other. Okay? So that's why when I have you cut these a little bit short of the cardstock, it's because we're trying to give some room for the pages to turn over. And then this piece cut at 8 1/8 by your 10.5. All right? Ink this if you wish. Don't if you are not into inking, but I am using Tim Holtz Distress Ink Old Paper. So I've already inked everything, and I want to get ready with the build for you. So working up, we're going to start with our bottom pocket piece. I do a lot with scraps, so somewhere in your scraps, hopefully, if you've been following my cuts, I always try to cut long first because there's usually some element or design on it that I want to save for a pocket, and then I'll cut short. But there should be a wide piece of wood. The other side of it is actually the piece that we're playing with on the front of the signature. This was from the cut from the front of the album. This pocket that I've made is 3 inches. This is not from my scraps because I use my scraps a lot. I actually had to cut into a piece of cardstock to cut this. So if you have to do that, put that extra piece aside because you're going to be cutting into it for some more as we move on. So save it as a extra. So this is the side that's going to go down, and I don't think I inked that. I don't think I did. I forgot to ink this one, so bear with me because I'm going to put this down here fairly quickly, and I want to get this inked. I would like to ink my edges personally because it gets rid of that white center core that's on the paper. I don't want it being a predominant feature throughout the album. And on certain color formats, that can happen quite easily, and it's very distracting when you're turning a page over and what you're seeing is the white rims, or the white edges. So that's why I like to ink, just as a FYI. Now, I chose this direction. You saw me turn it over because it's got this beautiful little rose that's floating through here, and I wanted that up on the top. Then in your cut aparts, you're going to fussy cut out this little saying, and that's going to go here in the middle. And then I'm using a pearly type lace ribbon that I got at Joann's, and I'm going to put this across here. Now, as a matter of interest, you're following me throughout the videos, you notice that I was struggling to get the glue to stay down, and I told you I was going to have to go off film to deal with some of it. Well, I got to thinking, this is made of cloth. I stitched these ends and wrapped the pearl, this piece here that wants to fly away, I wrapped the stitch around it and fed it through on both ends. So now I'm going to have an easier time getting this to lay down. So if you've got this kind of ribbon and you struggle with that same thing, just stitch them closed. So this will go here. And then in your cut aparts, I cut out this stack of letters, notices, and we're going to put this up here, and we're going to treat this kind of as a tuck. And that should be it here for the base. So, oh, no, one more piece. When the pocket gets built, I did fussy cut this out, mounted it onto cardstock so someone can put some love notes here on the bottom, but this will actually go in here as another little element. But let's go ahead and get this fussy cut mounted on cardstock, this fussy cut, get it mounted on cardstock, and stop the video if you need to, and then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and start putting this on. Okay, so let's get the glue here ready. I need my little pink fingertip because I have dried out my fingertips with the use of glue and tape all these years, and it really tears at my skin now. I had to laugh. I had to make a comment to somebody. here a few days ago. You know, I was in the banking industry and then I was in real estate, and both of them require to have a background check, and I had to have my fingerprints taken. I don't think that they would match up now. My fingers are so dry and cracked. I don't think they could identify me. I think that's kind of funny. I don't know. You'd have to be there. But I do think it's kind of interesting. I have used to use fingerprint ID on my phone, and I can't because it changes so rapidly with the dryness. That's what we were talking about and what got me onto that subject. So, Amazon, fingertips, bright pink so I can see it on my tabletop. Because I have a lot going on over here. Okay, I'm going to now take this off. All right, I'm going to match up one of the corners and an edge and try to stay true all the way down. There we go. Burnish this. Now I'm going to add this glue, and the glue I'm using is Art Glitter Glue, and you can tell by this bottle I've used it a ton. I get this small bottle because it's easier on my hands. I've got arthritis, so I can squeeze this, and then I use the bigger bottles for refilling my small ones. And it works a lot easier on my hands. And I know everybody has their favorite glues, what we're used to. This glue dries very quickly, and I like that when I am making videos. I want to be able to move on and not have my paper slide, but it comes with its downfall. It dries very quickly. So you've got to be fast in putting it on, because once it's down, it's down. All right. To put this on here, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch strip of tape right across the top. Now this is going to grab some of this ribbon, and it will help hold it in place. But to grab the rest of it, I am also, get that off of there. Gonna run a bead of glue through it so that when I push down that it will spread and capture the rest of it. And I'm going to glue the ends. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm just going to lay this down. I got to pick it up. I got way too much sitting down here at the end. And once I get this down, come on, I'll trim off the ends. Sorry about the crunchy. I've got glue all over my hand, and I want to wipe it off before I spread it all over my project. Now I'm going to turn this over because it is a smoother side, and I am going to give it a good burnish. All right. Now I'll get to it here in a minute. I don't want to distract you. I'm going to now put on my little cutout, and I'm going to put it right here in the middle. And then I'm going to tape this end for the tuck. I want that right up here. You still have room to put in a nice photo, but then if you've got an element that you would like to tuck, you can, and then you've got this big pocket. So you can tuck in, it'd have to be smaller because it's the top, or you can have this hang out the top of the album. That would be fine, but then you've got your tuck, and then we have our pocket down here. Now we're going to move on to our right side panel. You're going to cut this at roughly 6 1/4 by the height, which is 8 1/8. But then I want you to come in here and I want you to score this at 1/2, and I want you to score it at 3/4. We're not putting a whole lot in here like I do with my other albums, but the reason I'm building up with a 1/4 inch gusset is because of this ribbon. I want to be able to close this page and not have the ribbon at the bottom of it create an issue. So that's something to keep in mind when you're working with a little bit bulkier ribbon, is to give yourself enough gusset room on the ends for it to take it up. So I am going to go ahead and put my tape. This is a 1/2 inch score line. I'm going to use 3/8 of an inch tape. It's easier to lay than trying to line up a 1/2 inch strip of tape. All right, now I'm going to turn it over because I want to be able to get, I wonder if I can trim that off now, because this one bead right here is going to create a problem. Boy, that took off flying too. Okay. So if I turn this over, I want to be able to line up the top of my paper, and then I want my edge of my paper to come right up to the 1/2 inch score line, not on it, right up next to it. And then stand this up tall, make sure you're lined in there well, then lay it over and then burnish. And when I burnish right here, I can feel that ribbon. Now when you turn this over, I want you to push back on that score line that you've made. And I want you to re-burnish it so that you're encouraging it to stay in place and stand up tall. Bead broke through, but it'll be covered. All right, now we're going to work on your left side panel. This one you are going to cut to 7 1/2 by the 8 1/8. And then you're going to come in here once again and you're going to score it at 1/2 and you're going to score it at 3/4. And if you've got some magnets handy, you might want to dig them out because we're going to be addressing that here in just a minute. All right, so I'm going to turn this over again and I'm going to go through that same process. I want to make sure that I'm even here and that this is snuggled right up to that score mark. And then I'm going to lay this over. And I'm going to push back on that 3/4 inch score line. And again, give it another refreshing burnish. So then that way your 2 gussets are standing up straight. They're not wonking out on you. Now, let's go ahead and let's work on the magnet. I put the magnet on this side early on because I'm losing them, so I put it on where I needed it to go. But I'm going to have to take it off because as I fold this over, I am right on the edge here. So I've got to figure out where that needs to come in at. Let me look here. I need to come just a little bit closer to the edge and I'll be good to go. So I'm using my favorite thing, which is undo. It dries fairly quickly, but I'm just kind of giving it some encouragement here. Now I want to come a little bit closer to my edge. And I'm going to do a, perfect. All right, I'm going to take this tape off. Now, when I close these, I make sure that my gussets are nice and tall and that my top and bottom pages here are even when I put this down. There's nothing more frustrating than to find out that you've put them on like this, or that your gusset was doing this. So make sure it's tall. That's why I have you re-burnish so that they're supposed to be doing what they're doing. I want to go ahead and put this piece in. So this is the reverse side, but we're going to use this gorgeous goldish brown, light brown piece. And I'm just doing a real quick dry measure to make sure that I've got it trimmed right. I have a magnet on this page, so I am going to be using some score tape to put this piece down. I'll come back and trim off that here in a minute. I just think this is so delicate. It is just so pretty. I wouldn't mind having that for some wallpaper. Go into a room and find these soft beige roses on your wall. And I'm going to just put one here in the middle because I don't want it doing the pop-up routine on the page. I want it to stay down. I don't want to come in here and play with this and do this and it's popping up and down. So I'm going to take that off first. And then I'm going to come in here and eyeball. Now I cut to fit, folks. I don't worry about the measurements. I just cut to fit. Whoops, that slid. So I'm always eyeballing where I want things to be when I pre-cut like this. And the one thing that I want you to always keep in mind is stay off of that score mark. And I know what I want to see here for an edge, an exposed edge. So I just cut to fit. I'll always give you the measurements for the cardstock. That is super critical. But the measurements for the paper, just doesn't work. Isn't that pretty? Gosh, that's so pretty. Now on this side, we're going to have a pocket. And we're going to use the reverse side of this. We have this in our scraps. So this pocket piece on this side is measuring in at 6 3/4 inches. And I wanted it 3 inches tall so that it would match this big pocket over here. We're going to go ahead and put some tape. Last piece. Give her a good old burnish. Ouch. I just poked myself. I'm so sorry. That was a little startling. Keep my fingers out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to match up to this outside edge. And then I'm going to lay this down. Oh, you know what I just saw? I have a rough edge here. Just to bear with me. 2 shakes. I'm going to clean that up. Okay. So I'm going to come back in here, match up this side, this corner along the bottom, and it should come and snuggle right up next to that score line. Not on it, just snuggle right up next to it. Now take this piece, you're going to cut to fit how you want to see your borders. I'm going to go ahead and add some glue. And I was looking at the vines to see if there's any particular way they should be going. Now, I went into the cut-aparts. There are 2 doves. I want you to fussy cut both of them out and then ink them if you wish. I do because I want them to kind of stand out just a little bit against the paper collection. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to change their outer appearance. And we're just going to set them gently right in here in the middle. Okay. And then I am going to take, okay, where did it go? I had 2 strips of this ribbon, but this one's going to go over here. Oh, it must be here somewhere. Let me go ahead and do with this side and maybe it will show up. So same process, you're going to come in here and you're going to lay this piece down. I'm going to go ahead and glue it because I don't have a magnet that I want to get into. It's kind of baffling me where that strip of ribbon went, because it was just all right here. All right. Again, stay off that score line, put your paper down, give her a good burnish. And here is the other pocket. It is going to measure just a hair over 5 3/8. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. 5 5/16 by the 3. You want this pocket to come to the edge of this and snuggle right up to that score line, not on it. So depending upon how you're cutting. Now just a moment, I dropped something, my roll of tape on the floor. Oh, and I found the ribbon, it's also on the floor. Mystery solved. Make sure that, yep, that's the one. But let's finish this, since how that's where I took you off to. Tape this on here. Okay. Now we'll place the pocket. And I'm going to start here at this outer corner. I want it even here. Oops, just a second. Put some extra tape there. I'm going to roll it back. I'm going to just line it right up to that. And it should drop very nicely right along that score line. And then the same piece of paper, I kind of like the floral going this way, I think. I think there is a direction on that of how those florals are going, but might be my imagination. Okay. I'm going to set that right in there. And then here's the other dove. that I fussy cut. I do want to add a little bit of ink. Got to be careful around the feet, so I'm not inking the feet. They're very fragile. Had to be careful when I was cutting them as well. A little bit of dot on the feet. And then I want this one right in the middle. I'm trying to make sure I'm matching the height as best I can of the other one. All right, now, since how we're on this page, I am going to go ahead and put my ribbon down. And I'm really hoping that the two don't cause too much conflict when they come together. I'll know here shortly. It's really hard to anticipate by putting, because I'd have to pre-make this whole thing. I think what I'm going to do before I put the glue is I'm going to, because if this is going to be a problem, I'll change my ribbon strategy. No, it works great. Yay. I'm really excited about that. All right. Put a bead of glue down the tape. And then I'm going to stick this in place. And I have a little extra here on the end, which is fine. I want the glue to set. I will come back and trim that off once I know that everything has laid in place here. So I'm going to move on to my left side panel. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay down some lay down some tape. I don't want to get tape into the gusset. So I'm gonna, once again, I'm gonna, whoops, wait a minute. I had heat, my glue. I wanna start here in the center because I don't want that to get in the gusset. I can trim it if it's excess on the outside of the page. I have a bead, it looks like I will have to trim off, but I want to let this set before it does. I have plenty I can still be doing. See how that bead sticks out? It's okay, I'll trim it off here in a minute. Now on the front of this, you should have found this, and now you're gonna cut to fit. I want you to cut to fit this piece first. Now, my white cardstock does measure at 6 3/4 across. This piece here measures at 6 5/8 across. I can give you that measurement because I think it's pretty accurate. And then it sits in here just so. If you have already fussy cut this out, please do so, or don't. If you like it just the way that it is, that is absolutely your prerogative. But what we're going to do first is we're going to mount this side first. Now, a cut to fit on this, for me, works fine, but just so you know, this is just a hair over 5 1/4. But for me, it's a cut to fit. And then I'm going to go ahead and tape this down because I've got a magnet under here. And if this is your first video with me, the reason I do that is because if I ever have to get into that magnet for any reason, or a buyer says, the magnet moved, and I've had that happen due to no fault of the magnet, but for some reason it moved, and I had to get into it to reset the magnet position. So I use tape on the pieces of cardstock that have magnets. I want to be able to be that source that if something like that happens, I can take care of it. Now, if the album was abused, I don't take care of that. All right, and just like before, I want to put a little piece here in the center. Just a minute, I dropped my fingertip. I take this up. Make sure I've got this going in the correct direction because this brown piece of paper and the pink lace needs to be here on the bottom. And then I'm going to just eyeball my cut, get it set in there, and then I'll burnish that center tape down. Now, if you're, I do want to say this because I just made a comment about tape on magnets. If you're using the basic gray magnets, I've never had that as an issue, never. I have used other magnets that have an adhesive back that it did not hold well. But basic gray, I've never gone wrong on those. I think this is set enough that I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And then I'm going to come in here with just a smidgen of glue to glue the ends. Is that going to interfere with anything? I think I'm going to dab some of that off of there. Okay, I just need it in the fibers, that's all. All right. And I think I can snip this off now. Just a smidgen in the fibers. Okay. Now I'm going to put my front on, and I'm going to go ahead and take some glue, and I'm going to go around where the opening for the butterfly was. I'm going to do that first. And then I'm going to do my outer edge. This piece is getting to the point where maybe tape would have been better. I don't know if this glue is going to stay sticky for me. I'll hurry up here. Okay. Now very carefully I am lining up my left, my right, my bottom, and I'm going to gently lay this down, and I should have even border all the way around. Now it's going to be easier for me to burnish from this side because of the ribbon. And I want to make sure that this is burnished really good. All right, now before I put the butterfly in here, I'm putting in my lace. So this is how my lace is going to lay, and then my butterfly is going to lay right over the lace. So it pops up. Now, when you fussy cut this out, I did not cut the antennas out. I left them on this piece. I am not going to fussy cut those, so just in case you're wondering. I just simply cut right there at the head, and you still have the antennae. So what I need to grab, and I hope I have enough left, is I'm going to, this edge of this lace that I'm using has a nice amount to it that I can put down an 1/8 inch strip of tape right along. Oh, I don't have enough. My tape roll is empty. Okay, so what I think I will do is I'll put this in the center so I have good contact there, and then I'll run I need to and then I'm going to take a bead of glue and put it right there. So I'm going to line that up. I put that paper down, I think, for obvious reasons. I don't want the glue getting on my project. So that's down because there's tape there. And then I've got glue here. Okay, now I'm going to come in. I'm going to leave this here for a second. I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue the ends. Run a bead here at the end and then lay the lace over the glue. And then I'll come down here and do the same. I think I can take that out now. Okay, and then along this scalloped edge, I am going to run some glue. It is the thickest part of the lace where I can lay some glue, and the bead of glue isn't going to show. However, I will say that art glitter glue does dry clear. Okay, now I will take my pop-ups, the backs off of those. Just bear with me just a second. I'm doing this off camera so I can fling the pieces into the garbage. Okay, and now I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to put her, right back into their spot, but I'm off somehow. So I need to bring this towards me, folks. I'm so sorry. There we go. Okay, I think we've got her done. So this is your front, your right side panel, your left side panel with a pocket, a large pocket, and your other right side panel with a pocket. You've got a tuck, and you have yourself a cut apart here put it in any one of them really. Give this a close. And now we're going to add tape to the back side so we can get it in the album. Now our next page will be a waterfall. I want you to get into your collections and I want you to cut out all of these. We're going to be using some of the reverse sides, but cut out, well, because you're working with so many packets, I want you to do this ahead of time so you have them ready to go. So I cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 of them. I think there's another set beyond 20. I am purposely holding on to my set, that last set, because I want to be able to give this to somebody with a full set of cutouts. And I think I saved, I'll have to look. I may not have now that I'm thinking about it. But as far as for the 4 packs that you have, if you're doing this as a gift, I'm saving one of the roses. Let's take a look and see what did I save. These cutouts, this cutout that had 2 of these cutouts that have this little pocket on it. So I guess I did cut all those card panels out. So cut them all out. Should be 20 of them. But I'm saving this to give to the person that acquires this album so that they can do their own decorating. They can put in on some of the spots their own wording, and thus by doing so they make it theirs. Now that I've got those ends, this is a fairly big piece, so I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, here, and I think for good measure I'm going to put another one here. That's going to be fun burnishing because I'm going over those pearl ribbon. But I'll get her done. Okay. Now we're going to put this in the album. It is signature number 2. So it's going to go right here. Now, it is a lot easier for me to mount it if I've got it turned to its side. That way I can see that I'm lining it up correctly. So I apologize for the angle. Make sure that it's right side up. And now I'm looking from here to here, from here to here, and then I'm following this line right here for placing this. I want it sort of right up next to it, but not on it, just up next to it. Make sure that this is all going to come down level before I burnish it in here. All right. Now I will start removing the tape from the underside. Come on there. There we go. Come here. One more to go. Now when I set this back down, I want to make sure this gusset is straight. I don't want it puckering. And now I'll get in here and burnish my sides. Okay. So there you have it. That is your signature 2 in your album. And I really want to thank you for playing along. And I will see you on signature number 3 where we're going to be doing a waterfall. See you soon.